the next bunch of images. These were shot in June. So you can see how the trees are super bright green, and some of the images, I find that me as a photographer, I tend to shoot a little bit overexposed a lot of the time. But then you're going to get situations where the sky just becomes overcast, and so your settings might be underexposed. So you have to remember that presets don't always work great when you get like this dead eye. Oh, that's not even a sharp image. I just grabbed these randomly. But if it's properly exposed, then they work better. And this one will work good. And this one should be good as well because the exposure looks good to me. Okay, so let's try these. Let's just kind of click through some of them. We got cherries. Ooh, that's a one click. Pretty. I like that. Crystal. It's a little bit too greeny for me, but once again, adjust your exposure and that will help. And if you adjust your exposure, and bring up the magentas a little bit, try earth. Now I would just bring down the exposure. Okay, let's try rain. So it's a little overexposed, so I'm just going to bring it down, the exposure. And I'm going to bring up the warmth. Okay, next image. Now this one is very bright. This image in itself is very bright. So just making sure it's reset. Yeah, it's reset. Okay, let's try these. Cherries. I like that. Crystal. So I would need to add a little bit of warmth. Add a little bit of magenta. Bring down the exposure. Okay, let's try earth. I like earth. Let's bring the warmth up a little bit and exposure down a little bit. I like that. That's pretty. Let's try rain. Really bring down the exposure. And I would bring up the warmth a little bit. Okay, let's move on. Now this one is a little bit darker like I had mentioned, so click rain. And so this preset already brightens it quite a bit, so that's helpful. And let's try lift. Warm it up a little bit. Sky. That really brightens it quite a bit. I mean, darkens it, sorry. I'm thinking. If you find it's just too dark, but you really like the tones, just reset the shadows and reset the blacks. And there we go. It's great. Okay, let's go to here. Let's try cherries. That's so cute. Crystal. So don't forget, if you need to warm it up, warm it up. It's such a difference. When I have the letter B or the number 2 after a duplicate preset name, it's because I've just tweaked that preset itself. Look at how cute that is. I love it. Rain really brightens it up. So bring down your exposure and warm it up. Okay, and let's continue. Oh, you can see the mosquitoes are all over her. It was a really, really bad day for mosquitoes. Okay, warm it up. Oh. To brighten it, and you know, if a preset you don't love it, just can try a different one. I like that one. That's really pretty. So all I did was just adjust the warmth a little bit. Okay, let's try earth. It's too bright. Bring it down. Warm it up. That's so pretty. Let's try redwood and warm it up. And so it's becoming too bright as I'm warming it up, so I need to decrease the exposure. I'm just going to add a little bit of magenta. Okay, and sunlight. I'm just going to bring down the exposure a little bit. It's a little bit too bright for me. Okay, let's try a different one. Let's try, see, I like that. So kind of just flip through until you find one where you like the tones in it, and then you just need to tweak the white balance. And of course your exposure. It really needs to be warmed up. Okay. So pretty. Let's just try redwood. I really have to bring up the magentas in that, otherwise it's a little bit too green. But like, look how the shadows are kind of like that dark red in them. So let's try earth. Warm it up. Really bring down the exposure. Bring up the magentas. If you see it's too green in the skin, bring up the magentas. And warm it up. How pretty that is. Show you. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, now we're going to go on to the next batch.